What if I told you that right now, coiled at the base of your spine, lies a force so powerful it could completely transform your reality? Ancient masters knew this secret, encoded it in their teachings, yet most of us live our entire lives unaware that we're carrying this dormant energy within our very being. In Sanskrit, they called it Kundalini, meaning that which is coiled, describing the same latent power likened by sages to a serpent or dormant lightning waiting at your base. This isn't a metaphor, it's the untold story of your inner evolution. The mystics called it the sleeping serpent, but what they were describing was your soul's deepest awakening mechanism, waiting in silence for the moment you're ready to remember who you truly are. Yet, something keeps most of us from ever discovering this truth about ourselves. That barrier manifests as the shadow self you've been living, a carefully constructed identity that feels increasingly foreign to something more profound stirring within you. Most people walk through life wearing a mask so convincing they forget their face lies beneath it. You wake up each morning and slip into patterns carved by decades of conditioning, moving through routines that feel disconnected from your authentic nature. The voice that once whispered dreams now speaks in the language of responsibilities and social expectations. This disconnection happens gradually, almost invisibly. As children, we learn that certain parts of ourselves receive love while others meet disapproval. We begin to edit our natural responses, compress our wild curiosities, and reshape our instincts to fit acceptable molds. Layer by layer, we bury our original essence beneath strategies for survival and belonging, mistaking these adopted patterns for our true identity. Within your being exists a blueprint more complete than any architectural plan, more precise than genetic code. This dormant template contains the full specifications of your highest expression, waiting in the darkness like an acorn that carries within its shell the entire magnificence of an oak tree. The acorn doesn't question its potential or doubt its capacity for growth. Every cell contains the intelligence needed to unfold into towering strength, spreading branches and sheltering canopy. Modern existence keeps us perpetually activated in survival consciousness, scanning for threats and managing endless streams of information. This fight-or-flight response locks your Muladhara, the root chakra, blocking access to the deeper evolutionary currents flowing within your subtle anatomy. We mistake this agitated surface awareness for normal consciousness, never suspecting that vast territories of inner space remain unexplored. The constant noise of external demands drowns out the quiet voice of our essential nature, trying to communicate through intuition, synchronicity, and inexplicable longings. Ancient wisdom keepers understood this predicament with startling clarity. They created detailed maps of the inner landscape, marking pathways back to our original nature through practices designed to dissolve the barriers between our conditioned self and our authentic being. These traditions recognize that human consciousness possesses an innate capacity for transformation, an evolutionary impulse that seeks to awaken despite the obstacles we place in its path. Have you ever felt that quiet discontent, as if you're living someone else's script? That's your dormant acorn intelligence nudging you. What would happen if you could access this hidden potential that pulses quietly within your being? The sleeping serpent at your spine isn't foreign energy waiting to be borrowed from ancient traditions. It's your own authentic self, coiled in patience, ready to guide you back to the magnificence you temporarily forgot. But why did every ancient culture choose this same mysterious symbol to represent our deepest transformation? Across every continent, ancient seers independently discovered the same inner reality and chose identical symbols to map what they found dwelling within human anatomy. Walk into any museum, flip through any ancient text, or study sacred sites scattered across our planet, and you'll encounter the serpent appearing everywhere. The Ouroboros of Egypt, the rainbow serpent of Australia, the feathered serpent of Mesoamerica, the Nagas of India. This isn't a coincidence or cultural borrowing, but recognition of a universal force operating within human consciousness. These wisdom keepers perceived something that modern science is only beginning to understand, a fundamental creative intelligence that operates within the very structure of our being. they recognized this coiled energy as the same force that drives all transformation in nature. This invisible power guides a caterpillar through its dissolution in the chrysalis to emerge as a butterfly. What they mapped wasn't fantasy, but the most natural process of human development, encoded in our subtle anatomy like software written in the language of consciousness. In Western Hermeticism, the twin serpents Ida and Pingla wrap around the central channel called Sushumna, mirroring the same anatomical understanding found in Eastern traditions. This convergence reveals that different cultures were mapping identical inner territories, recognizing the same evolutionary mechanism waiting within human beings. The serpent became their chosen symbol because it perfectly captures the essence of this evolutionary intelligence. Watch a snake shed its skin, and you witness the exact process that Kundalini facilitates within human consciousness. Traditional texts describe this energy as winding through 7 energy centers like coils, each release mirroring that natural shedding process. The old identity must be completely released, peeled away layer by layer, to reveal the luminous being that was always present beneath accumulated patterns. This shedding isn't violent or forced, but flows with organic timing, guided by an intelligence that knows precisely when each transformation should unfold. This energy exists in a state of pure potential, like electricity gathering in storm clouds before lightning illuminates the landscape. The coiled position represents infinite creative power compressed into a single point of consciousness, waiting for the right conditions to begin its upward spiral through your energy centers. Most people carry this dormant lightning their entire lives without ever suspecting what lies sleeping at the base of their spine. The misconception that Kundalini belongs to exotic Eastern traditions or requires special initiations misses its true nature entirely. This force operates according to universal principles that govern all growth and transformation. Every time you've experienced a breakthrough in consciousness, felt a sudden expansion of awareness, or undergone a significant life transition, this same intelligence was orchestrating the process. It moves through your being according to sacred geometric patterns, spiraling upward through energy centers that correspond to different frequencies of consciousness. The serpent's coiled position isn't random symbolism, but precise mapping of how consciousness organizes itself within human anatomy. Each coil represents another level of potential waiting to unfold, another octave of awareness ready to be activated. When this dormant intelligence begins to stir, it doesn't move in straight lines, but follows spiral pathways that mirror the structure of galaxies, DNA, and seashells. What happens when this sleeping serpent finally awakens? The ancient texts speak of a journey that unfolds not as a single moment of illumination, but as an epic passage through distinct territories of consciousness, each one designed to test and transform different aspects of your being. These 7 energy centers operate as gateways that must be unlocked in sequence, each one testing different aspects of your being while revealing deeper layers of who you truly are. Think of each chakra as a locked chamber in an ancient temple, and as the serpent energy rises, it carries the precise key needed to open what has remained sealed within your consciousness. The first 3 centers form the kingdom of personal identity, where you must face your fundamental relationship with existence itself. At the root, buried deep in the pelvis, lies Muladhara, your connection to survival and safety, where every inherited fear about scarcity and belonging gets stored, like sediment in still water. Moving upward, Svadhisthana presents the gateway of pleasure and creativity, where you confront your relationship with desire, sexuality, and the raw creative force that births new realities. Manipura becomes the arena of personal power, where the ego either learns to serve your authentic nature or continues building fortresses of false control that block further ascension. Each of these lower centers demands complete honesty about patterns you've carried since childhood, forcing you to examine how survival strategies have shaped your identity. The challenges here involve releasing outdated programming while maintaining the healthy boundaries needed for embodied existence. You cannot simply transcend these foundations, but must transform them into stable ground for higher consciousness to take root. Anahata, the heart center, stands as the crucial bridge between personal and transpersonal awareness, where love becomes the alchemical force that transmutes everything. Here, the journey shifts from self-improvement to self-transcendence, as the boundaries between inner and outer begin dissolving in the fire of compassion. This gateway tests your capacity to remain open even when opening feels dangerous, to love even when love brings grief, to connect even when connection threatens the carefully constructed walls around your heart. What deep grief or greatest love does your Anahata gate hold? Stay with that question as we move upward. The upper three centers function as gateways to dimensions that exist beyond ordinary human experience. Vishuddha, the throat chakra, demands authentic expression, requiring you to speak truth even when truth feels revolutionary. Ajna, the third eye, opens doorways to intuitive knowing that operates beyond logical reasoning, where you must learn to trust perceptions that can't be validated by consensus reality. Sahasrara dissolves the final illusion of separation, revealing that the seeker and the sought were never two different things. This journey revisits the same themes at progressively deeper levels of understanding. What seemed resolved at one octave returns with greater complexity and subtlety, demanding integration rather than transcendence. Each gateway presents shadow aspects alongside its gifts, demanding that you face what you've rejected or avoided about yourself. These confrontations aren't obstacles, but essential curriculum, designed to ensure that your awakening includes, rather than excludes, the fullness of human experience. This 7-stage process operates as your soul's carefully designed curriculum for remembering its divine nature, each test perfectly calibrated to reveal another aspect of the magnificent being you've always been. But what is this magnificent being that emerges through such transformation? The treasure you spend lifetimes searching for in external achievements, relationships, and experiences has been burning quietly as sacred fire within your own being since the moment you took your first breath. This inner flame carries the same intelligence that ignites stars and guides planets in their orbits, yet it waits patiently in the darkness of your unconscious awareness. Eastern traditions call this force Shakti, the divine feminine creative power that exists within every being, regardless of gender. Kundalini awakening reveals the startling truth that you are not a separate being seeking connection with the divine, but rather the divine expressing itself through human form, temporarily forgetting its own nature to experience the joy of remembering. Fear surrounds this energy like smoke around fire, creating myths about dangerous awakenings and spiritual emergencies that keep seekers at a distance from their own inner wisdom. These concerns have foundation when people approach Kundalini through forced breathwork or ungrounded initiation practices that can indeed lead to spiritual emergencies. However, these misconceptions arise when people approach Kundalini as foreign power to be conquered, rather than innate intelligence to be trusted. This evolutionary force operates with the same benevolent precision that transforms acorns into oak trees and caterpillars into butterflies, carrying within its movement the accumulated wisdom of your soul's entire journey. Working with such profound transformative forces requires the same respect you would show when approaching any powerful natural phenomenon. You wouldn't attempt to redirect lightning without understanding electrical currents, and Kundalini demands similar preparation through practices that create stability within your energy system. Regular meditation establishes the inner stillness needed to witness intense experiences without being overwhelmed. Specific breath work, like alternate nostril breathing, teaches you to guide life force through your subtle anatomy with conscious intention rather than unconscious reaction. The awakening announces itself through unmistakable signs that begin subtly and grow more pronounced as the energy gains momentum. Your sensitivity to environments, people, and subtle energies increases dramatically, as if someone adjusted the reception quality on your inner radio. Synchronicities multiply beyond statistical probability, creating a web of meaningful connections that reveal the intelligent design underlying apparent randomness. Perception shifts occur spontaneously, where ordinary moments suddenly reveal extraordinary depths of meaning and beauty. This process unfolds naturally when you create supportive conditions through consistent inner work and genuine surrender to forces greater than your conscious mind can control. The serpent energy responds to invitation rather than force, to preparation rather than demand. Like water finding its natural course, Kundalini flows through the path of least resistance, within your energy system, clearing blockages and opening centers according to divine timing rather than personal agenda. Awakened Kundalini doesn't separate you from ordinary life, but reveals the extraordinary nature hidden within apparent ordinariness. Every breath becomes conscious participation in the cosmic dance of creation. The journey ultimately returns you to something you've carried all along, waiting beneath accumulated layers of conditioning and forgetting. This serpent wisdom calls you to begin where you are, with what you have, trusting the process that unfolds according to its own sacred timing. The great revelation stands before you now. Awakening is not about becoming someone new, but about removing everything that was never authentically you. Every layer of conditioning, every adopted identity, every mask you learn to wear simply obscures the luminous being that has always existed beneath the surface. This journey strips away what is false to reveal what is eternally true. Begin listening to the subtle stirrings within your being right now. Trust the intelligence that has been guiding your evolution since birth, the same force that knows when to bloom flowers and migrate birds. You already contain everything needed for your highest expression. If this resonated, share below the moment you noticed a subtle stirring within. That's the first coil, uncoiling. Subscribe if you're ready to trust that intelligence within and journey back to who you've always been.